This afternoon, outside of our Austin, Texas studios, temperatures again near that blissful century mark. So anyway, my fellow Austinites, you can go ahead and put away the parkas, right? It's hard to believe that 3 short weeks ago, I was on the beach at Point Doom in Malibu looking for a sweatshirt to put on. It's a pleasant 72.5 degrees here in front of the microphone. This is Bill Culhane, your co-host of the Big Bid Theory, powered by Bid Prime. Jim Ward will be joining us a little later in the show. Before I go over the lineup for this episode, many of you tuned in to our last installment. And by the way, one of the most listened to episodes in the history of our little show. What didn't Smokey Bear tell us about wildfires? And incidentally, thanks again to Dr. Kate Wilkin and Dr. John Keeley as well. At this moment, firefighters are battling a wildfire near Inks Lake State Park, about 70 miles from our studio, northwest of Austin. Already in the neighborhood of 500 acres have been burned. Also, and I was looking at a report this morning from CAL FIRE, the Carr Fire in Northern California has destroyed 966 structures, which puts the Carr Fire as the 9th most destructive fire in California history. That's absolutely horrific. And as Kate Wilkin mentioned, and you already know this probably, but California is a state with a long history of fires. We talked about it last time out. First of all, on behalf of everybody here at the show, our thoughts and prayers are with those affected. And thank you very much and the very best to the brave men and women involved in controlling it and trying to put out the fires. And second, another reminder, thanks for your patience, but you heard Kate Wilkins say it in the last episode, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So be careful, be prepared, keep an eye on reports, and if you're told to get out, get out. Jim Ward, our resident soccer, or is it football? Anyway, Jim's our resident expert. He's returned. He's back from the World Cup. And quite appropriately, JW's Crazy Bit is going to have you kicking yourself if you miss it. Before we hear from the Jim Ward, a couple of years ago, we had Peter Holtgreave from Partners in Business Excellence who came on to talk about customer service. He talked about process improvement. In this episode, we're going to expand upon that conversation because guess what, right? Many businesses, organizations, even government agencies are still trying to figure it out, what they need to do to improve their customer service. It's really easy to say that you and I are influenced by the customer service we receive when it comes to our spending habits, who we want to work with, who we want to do business with, who we want to be a customer for. Well, guess what? Your customers feel the same way. Just looking at my travels in the past month alone, Dukes in Malibu, Southwest Airlines, the Omni in New Orleans, outstanding customer service. And I'm going to remember it. I'll be back. I'll spread the word. What about your business? Think about it. Is your service solution, your widget so special, so one of a kind that the customer service you provide just doesn't matter? Is that 20% client retention good enough? Is that really where you want to be? What about that 3.4 Google rating? Is that really where you want your business to be? Government agencies provide customer service as well, don't they? And okay, you can stop with the driver's license center jokes. Being the inquisitive sort, this morning I looked and found hundreds of customer service related government bids in Bid Prime's database. So, yes, the public sector is out there investing in customer service solutions. And no, they weren't nearly all for various flavors of CRMs. You can look for yourselves. Customer service. Look up customer service in the dictionary. Shep Hyken. If we had an hour, I'd go through the various companies and organizations Shep has worked with on customer service and the experience. He's a recognized expert here in the U.S. and elsewhere. He's also a keynote speaker, New York Times bestselling author, and has been on virtually every well-known media source you can think of. Shep Hyken now joins us on the Big Bid Theory hotline. And Shep, we sure do appreciate you joining us. I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast of the episode that it's been really hot here in Austin, Texas. The first thing you need to do is give us a weather report from St. Louis, Missouri.
Well, today, we've had an unbelievable week of weather in the mid-70s. People are going to want to move to St. Louis, Missouri. It's the new destination resort area. The St. Louis Chamber of Commerce thanks you for that plug. And I pointed out at the beginning of the episode as well, Shep, I'm kind of taking you behind the curtain. I was in Malibu 3 weeks ago. Temperatures were in the mid-70s. We were at the beach. Oh, wow.
It got to be later in the day, and I was asking my wife, "Where's my sweatshirt?" And here it's 105, 103 in Austin. It's crazy.
Wow! And believe it or not, just a few minutes ago, I put on my sweatshirt.
There we go.
It's nice and beautiful out there. Hey, you know what? And we can fake people out for just so long, and then it gets hot again. But you know what's amazing is this week in L.A., it's 100 degrees. So that's why people are coming here for vacation.
Hey, let's talk customer service, Shep. Obviously, and I pointed it out in the lead into the segment, you are a noted expert. I'm going to have you talk more about your new book in a moment, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that when we were all little boys and girls, we had dreams of being astronauts, maybe being center fielder for the St. Louis Cardinals, F-16 pilots, doctors, judges, you name it. Not many kids thought about becoming experts on customer service. So what happened? How is it that you evolved into becoming a customer service / experience guru?
Sure. Well, let's go back to when I was a kid, and I did my first birthday party magic show at age 12. And I thought, hey, I want to be a magician. And I came home, and my mom said, what are you going to do after dinner? And I thought the correct answer would be do homework, since it was a school night. But the actual correct answer was write a thank you note. And my dad said, great idea. Next week, after they've received the thank you note, call them, thank them again, ask them how they like the show. And if they like the show, they'll give you the names of the parents that were at the back of the room watching their kids have a good time. And then my dad said, ask them what tricks they like the best. And I said, well, that's a great idea. He goes, but what I want you to do is every time you do a magic show, ask what they like the best. And if nobody ever mentions certain tricks, get rid of them and put in new ones that'll hopefully be better. And I thought, wow. So at the age of 12, if you think back, my parents were teaching me customer service skills. They were teaching me show appreciation, get feedback, and then execute on the feedback with process improvement. Unbelievable. Now, I didn't call it that back then. I just called it doing a magic show and getting better and making people happy. But there was also, I had other jobs too. I worked in a gas station. I worked in retail. And when I was 16, I had a snowplow business. I bought a Jeep and a snowplow for $900. And I believe the plow was worth $700 and the Jeep was a hunk of junk worth about $200. And I fixed it up a little bit and I plowed driveways. And on the third snowfall, my car wouldn't start. And I didn't know what to do. It's 4 a.m. I have 15 driveways to plow. A friend of mine at school, his dad had just got him a Chevy Blazer with a big plow. I mean, a really nice one. So I called him up and I said, I know you usually do big parking lots, but hey, I've got 15 driveways. My car won't start. I remember I woke his mom up and his mom went and got him. And I said, I'll give you all of the money if you'll come over here and help me. And I did not realize it until not that long ago. But looking back, that was a defining moment. That was where I realized in my DNA, it was all about taking care of the customer. Forget about the money. That's not as important as honoring my word and making sure that I kept my reputation intact and everything else. And really, I had no idea it was called customer service, customer experience, focus on the customer, whatever. But that's where it started. So I graduate college, and I'm going to end this in like 20 seconds. I didn't know what I was going to do. I saw a couple of motivational speakers, and I said, I can do that. I had the entertainment background. By the way, I graduated to doing nightclubs and comedy clubs, and I've got background in business. I'm going to go ahead and write a speech, and it was all focused on customer service. And over the years, it evolved, and I researched, I interviewed, and here I am today. I've written a bunch of books, hundreds and hundreds of articles, and I'm here on this show, which is like one of the highlights of my career.
It has to be. Being on the Big Bid Theory has to be at least top 5. And a moment ago, Shep, you talked about the books you've written and the different articles you've written. Well, in your mini course, 7 Strategies to Win Customers for Life, you have a quote from Dr. Larry Baker, and I'm going to go ahead and,
yes.
I know you know the quote, but the most abused customer is the sold customer. And I'll tell you what, when I read that, Shep, I laughed and then I cried because it's true. We know it's true. And you and I could sit here for days and we could talk about market share, business growth rate, increased revenues, blah, blah, blah. But drill it down for us, Shep. Why isn't being okay at customer service? Why isn't that okay?
Well, first of all, it's a differentiator. And over the years, companies that have provided a better level of service, it's been a value proposition for them where people enjoy it and they're willing to pay more for it, and it separates you from your competition. Now, I will tell you what's happened recently is that many companies are stepping up and they're trying to deliver a better level of service. So now it becomes even more competitive. How can I out customer service my competition? And anybody that focuses on the customer will realize that there's different ways to do so. But more important than ever is recognize that you're no longer compared to your direct competitor. You're compared to the best customer service that customers ever received from anybody. It could be from someone like Nordstrom or Amazon, or it could be the guy that sold them a pair of shoes at the department store that was just so knowledgeable and friendly and helpful. Or it could be the manufacturer that, has an inside sales rep that's always checking in to make sure you're happy. And what's happening is any company, regardless of their size, the customer is going to say, hey, why can't you be as good as whoever it is? And so it's more important than ever to understand what your customers' expectations are and not just meet them, but even figure out a way to exceed them if possible.
You're a fan of Southwest Airlines, aren't you?
Big fan. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm a big fan as well. I've flown a couple of times, made a couple of trips here just in the month of July alone. And I always try to fly Southwest if I can. And I've had conversations with friends, family, and they know I'm a fan of Southwest. When they ask me why I am such an advocate for Southwest Airlines, I tell them it's because of the way they make me feel. There are other airlines that fly from point A to point B, from point C to point D, but oftentimes, for me, it just comes down to the way they make me feel. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, well, travel has become really commoditized, if you will. One airline is the same as another airline, except there are certain airlines that stand out, Southwest being one of them. Aside from them being profitable, one of the reasons they do so is they've got a different system. By the way, I love Southwest. I fly on them. I love, when I'm with my family, taking the trip, they're reasonably priced, free, baggage. They're so darn nice, and they really do bend over backwards to try and take care of you. Other airlines, I fly on them as well. And for different reasons, I might want to have a first-class seat flying on a long, long trip. Southwest doesn't give me that. So, but realize that every business is the same as that airline. One company may have something that another one doesn't. One of the things that Southwest offers is, value-based fares along with, the free check-in or the free baggage. They have a really simplified system. You know what? People complain, hey, I can't get a reserved seat. Well, then don't fly on Southwest. You're not their customer. They know who their customer is, and they cater to that customer. And by the way, I'm not going to say that everybody's 100% perfect over there, but they have a really good consistency. And that's why you feel good. You know what you're going to get, and you trust you're going to get it. And as long as they meet, if not exceed, even just a little bit, your expectations, you're going to love doing business with them. By the way, the best companies in the world, they're not over the top. They don't blow you away all the time. If there's a problem or a complaint, then you say something, any company can step up. But it's the companies that are consistently and predictably just a little above average, even just a tiny bit above average, but again, consistent. Those are the companies that people say are amazing.
You used the word expectations a moment ago, Shep, and I know everybody's different. My wife and I, we can go out to a restaurant and have two pretty much entirely different opinions on the experience. But as far as expectations go, for our listening audience, what can you tell them about what people, in terms of customer service, obviously, staying on topic, but what are people's expectations nowadays?
Well, you have to realize that the customer defines the expectation. As a company, we can try to deliver what we think is good customer service, but the customer grades us no matter what. So every customer is going to be a little bit different, but you have to understand, what is it that you think the customer wants? And then work toward that. Understand them by talking to them, survey them, ask them how we're doing, what'd you like, have focus groups. But I think it's really important that I call this being customer focused, that every decision you make, you should ask yourself, how is this going to impact my customer? You can also ask, how is this going to impact my employees? That's a really big question as well, because what's happening on the inside of a company is felt on the outside. But if you ask, how is this going to impact my customer? Even if it's going to impact them negatively, at least you're giving conscious thought to it. Hey, we need to raise prices. Well, how is that going to impact our customer? Well, they're not going to be happy. But let's talk about what happens if we don't raise the price. What can't we deliver and give them that they're used to getting? And so when we do raise the price, we know how to explain it to them properly, and we've kept them in mind as we've made the decision to do so. So it can be something simple as, hey, we're going to drop a product line. We're going to add something. How does that impact the customer?
For the business owners who are listening, and really for those in government as well, governments, of course, as I pointed out in the lead into this segment, government agencies are involved in the customer service business as well. So in terms of putting together that culture, Shep, I think of things like investment. You have to invest in providing customer service. You have to hire right. You have to make communication an emphasis. What other things do business leaders and those in government need to keep in mind when trying to provide that excellent customer service?
Sure. I'm going to give you a 6-step process in under 60 seconds, which won't be easy.
Okay, we've got our pens ready.
All right, and I'll slow down, and you can stop me and ask me after we're done. But I want you to keep in mind, I call these 6 simple steps. But simple does not mean easy. Do not confuse those two words. If you've got an organization that's 6 people, you can move on a dime. If it's 600 people, it might take you a year. If it's 60,000 people, or if it's government where it's much bigger than that, it could take 8-10 years to make the shift to where everybody's in alignment. But here we go. Step 1 is you must define your service vision. And I suggest you do it in one sentence, such as what the Ritz-Carlton has so eloquently done with their basic, I call it it's like their motto. It's 9 words. We're ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. Easily understood by every employee there. That's what they're there to do. Number 2, it's communicated over and over again. It's not a theme of the month. It's a theme of the life of the company. You're constantly seeing that signage and verbiage when the executives are talking. Number 3 is training. You're constantly training. Not huge trainings. I mean, maybe as they onboard, they get something big. But everybody gets trained to that service vision. And I mean everybody. Person in the warehouse gets trained differently than the person on the front line, but that's the idea. Everybody is trained and they understand their part and their role in the vision. Number 4, executives, leaders, owners, in government, whoever your manager is, these people have to act as role models and demonstrate the right behavior. You can't ask people to do one thing while you're acting a different way. Number 5 is you stay in alignment. So leadership, once again, has to keep everybody in alignment. It could be one person who's not following that vision. It could be a department, it could be a region or a division of a company, but everything stays in alignment, and it's the leadership's role to keep it so. And number 6 is to celebrate it when it works. Let people know they're doing a great job. Let people know it's working. And that's under 60 seconds, I believe.
And you know what? I love that last part about celebrating your successes. It goes back to my days in the Air Force once upon a time where I worked for a colonel, outstanding leader, and he always talked about criticize in private and give kudos in public.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, 100%, because people feel good about it. Now, you might want to ask them, hey, if you're going to pat somebody in public, if you're going to pat somebody's back, you might want to ask them, hey, do you mind if I share the accolades that we have for you? Because some people may be very uncomfortable accepting those compliments in public.
That's true. Your recent book, The Convenience Revolution, we know this because it's been talked about now for some time. People have been calling it the microwave society, now, fast. I want it at my fingertips. So in your recent book, you describe how to leverage convenience as a powerful way to differentiate yourself from your competition. And you just went over some of the elements of delivering customer service. But what other tools are available for business leaders to deliver that customer service? I've seen applications where artificial intelligence, AI, is being used in customer service. We had Robert Scoble and Az Balabanian on the show months ago. CRMs have been around forever, of course, but are there any other neat tools, techie kind of tools that are available that you've heard businesses using to deliver customer service?
Sure. Well, AI, you already mentioned, but it's becoming more and more prevalent and easier to understand and really inexpensive. So even small businesses can use AI to handle lower level customer service functions. It's not new technology, but how about a self-service solution where on your website, you not only have frequently asked questions, but you have links to videos. Using videos, posting them on YouTube, not only shows people how to do whatever they have their questions, about how to do something, but it also showcases, it's like a marketing piece as well. It has a double-edged sword. So I suggest companies think about that. Social media when it comes to customer service and customer care, make sure that you're monitoring all of the different channels. And it's very easily done. There's software that'll manage and recognize whenever you're being mentioned in a Yelp review or a TripAdvisor or Twitter or Facebook or any of the different social channels. Keep in mind. And I know, you mentioned the convenience revolution. I think that all of this that we're talking about is at the disposal of the customer. And if you're going to be customer focused, then that would mean that you would, ask yourself, are these channels the right channels? Is this a good place for me to be? But being convenient to your customer is of the utmost importance today.
I encourage folks to get their hands on the convenience revolution. And that's kind of a segue there, Shep. You've traveled the world, written books, as we've talked about. I'm not sure how many people you've spoken to over the years. Do you have any upcoming appearances, any other books that you're particularly fond of? Anything that you want to pass along to the thousands of folks listening to the episode?
Well, again, appearances. I'm always traveling all over the world. Most of them are private appearances. But every week I come out with new content. If you subscribe to my newsletter, hyken.com, just go there and subscribe. Every week you'll be sent a newsletter with content. It's not a promotional pitch. It is an article that I write every week, and you can get the same article in video format if you go to my YouTube channel. Just go to shep.tv. So that's as easy as it gets, shep.tv. And I have like 550, 600 different videos. Many of them, I'm going to say the majority of them, 90% are 3 to 4 minutes long, and they're great lessons to show at a group meeting. They're free of charge. And so we've got these tools that are available, easy to use, and we talked a little bit about training. And of course, I'm very excited about the book. What books? Well, how about The Convenience Revolution? By the way, comes out October 2nd. But if you order it today, you get the ebook free immediately. So I think the ebook they're pricing at $19.95 now. But the publisher, which I've never had a publisher allow this, is letting me give away the ebook to anybody that pre-orders the book. And they just go to beconvenient.com and we make it easy. You get an email back that says thank you, and here's the ebook.
Easy is good. And I've been in radio broadcasting for 25 plus years. I've got a face for radio. So I know a lot of my radio peers aren't going to like it when I say this, but video is king. I've heard you mention video a couple of times. It's powerful, isn't it?
I think it's one of the easiest, quickest, simple formats. By the way, you don't have to produce amazing videos. You have to have good sound and decent video. And you can do how-to videos. You can show people how different customers are using the product. Have a contest where customers send in how they're using your products, or a tip on something, and you can create a whole channel of great content for your customers. By the way, I consider content marketing really content service. If you don't deliver good quality information to your customers to enhance the experience, you're missing a great opportunity to deliver a better customer experience.
Well, Shep, we sure do appreciate the content you've delivered for us and our audience around the globe. And by the way, and our longtime listeners know this, Lauren or Rick will include that information that Shep just provided, those URLs and background information. We'll include that in the description of the episode. So, Shep, all the best to you, safe and happy travels, and hopefully our paths will cross again down the road at some point.
I hope so. Thanks, Bill.
Again, Lauren and Rick will diligently work to include the info Shep just shared. You'll be able to see that in the description of the podcast. Now, here he is. Jim and I share a lot in common. I became a Gunner fan while living over in the UK so many years ago, so many decades ago. Jim has been an Arsenal fan forever. What does any of that have to do with the crazy bid? Let's find out.
Crazy bits that you can win. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to this edition of Crazy Bids That You Can Win. My name is The Jim Ward, and I have a crazy bid for us, which will actually be the perfect complement to the excellent interview we just heard from Shep Hyken. It does have to do with customer service, but also let me digress for a second. Shep Hyken, is there a cooler name? I don't know. Is there a cooler name? It sounds like a sentence in German, you know? Shep Hyken. I would jump to attention. But anyway, great interview, and thank you, Shep. So this crazy bid that you can win is something definitely that I will not be winning. It's put out by the United Nations. So I don't know where to start here. I mean, let's face it. The United Nations is an organization that was thrown together at the end of World War II as a quick Band-Aid fix-all for the Allies to be able to move forward in a post-World War II paradigm. It's grown into, really a laughingstock is what it's become. It was originally based in San Francisco. There's a good bar bet for you. Ask people where the UN started and is located and whatnot. Very few will know San Francisco. So the bid itself, my gosh, my blood is starting to curl here. As many of you know, I am a huge Arsenal fan. I've supported Arsenal since the 90s. This season is going to be very, very strange with the new manager for the first time in my lifetime, or at least my Arsenal lifetime. Is there a difference? I digress. So this is for the outsourced production for the documentation of a Manchester United video. Okay, I remember seeing this lead and immediately just freaking out. Just so you know, Manchester United is a huge rival to Arsenal. I hate them. I hate everything about them. So the bid itself is actually for Thailand, and it's over the Manchester United Fund, okay, and how the fund can be implemented to improve lives of migrant adolescents, blah, blah, blah. Well, the problem that they're missing at the UN is the Manchester United model is not sustainable. In international soccer or football, club-wise, you have the haves and the have-nots like nothing else I can imagine. Arsenal and United are both what we would consider the haves. Why they would... Okay, so Arsenal, we have a self-sustaining business model. We're actually the only major club to do so. We built a new stadium. We had to finance it ourselves. And everyone else is owned, for example, Manchester City, they're owned by a country. They're owned by Qatar. So it's kind of hard to compete financially when you've got the sheikhs at Paris Saint-Germain, and then at United, you've got American owners who have made so much money refinancing United's debt. It's crazy. So my point is, the last business model I would want to follow would be Manchester United. I think actually the UN is doing a disservice to Thailand by giving them this example, this video production. And I'm just looking back and I'm thinking, I'm reminiscing, if you will. So grab a rocking chair. Let's chat for a while. So Yu Thant, he was a devout Buddhist. He was from Burma, or whatever they're calling it this month. He went to Rangoon University, and he was a huge Arsenal Gunner fan. Okay, Kurt Waldheim, he was a Nazi. He was a United fan too. So then you got things like guys like Boutros Boutros-Ghali, or Boutros Squared, as I call him. Huge Arsenal fan. Huge Arsenal gunner. So who is this Antonio Guterres? I'll tell you who he is. He's a socialist from Lisbon, so he's Portuguese. And he obviously likes Manchester United because, name a famous Portuguese athlete. You got Cristiano Ronaldo. And then you have, I don't know, maybe there was like a horse that was won the Kentucky Derby or something that was Portuguese. I don't know. Cristiano Ronaldo's all this Antonio has to follow, and that obviously led him astray to Manchester United. I don't fault anyone for bidding on this to win just for the monetary gain, but just know that you're doing a bad thing, whoever wins this bid. And hey, Antonio, I'm only going to say this once, okay? If an Arsenal video isn't made on our self-sustaining business model for countries to base their economic structure on, there will be action taken. There will be trips, plural, to New York. And if I've got to bring Kofi with me, Kofi's coming, okay? So that's it. Didn't mean to take such a negative slant for this crazy bid. It just was very negative. Whenever I see unfortunately, Bill is seeing this in action. Whenever I see a Manchester United kit on someone, I don't like them with aplomb. I dislike them immensely. I hate everything about them. And maybe you have to understand English football, but so when I saw that, I was just, I still am. I'm upset to the point where I'm having to hold myself back from what I want to say. So that's it. The crazy bid that somebody can win is outsourced production for documentation of Manchester United video. Can't even spit it out. So once again, thanks again to Shep Hyken, the authority on customer service and also the greatest name in the world, truly. So without further ado, thanks everyone in the studio, and thanks to all of you listeners. Bill, take her away and chunk her in the trash can when you're through there with this crazy bid. But there you go, crazy bids that you can win. My name is The Jim Ward, and I am signing off until next time. Ciao.
Absolutely wonderful, absolutely splendid work, Jim. Appreciate that, and much appreciation to you for taking a moment to share, download, and follow the show. Continue to send your emails to me at bcolhane@bidprime.com. Jim is over at jward@bidprime.com. On the Twitterverse, you can follow us at The Big Bid Theory. And by the way, we do follow back. We're also on Facebook as well. Powered by Bid Prime for our TBBT staff frantically applying the SPF 50 even though they're safely indoors. Is it time to apply some of the tips Shep Hyken shared with us? Thanks to him again. For The Jim Ward, I'm Bill Colhane. Until next time, send us rain and cool breezes. Go Gunners, Barracudas, Tigers, Bobcats, and Cubs. And we wish you all the best in growing your business.
Powered by Bid Prime, we thank you for tuning in to The Big Bid Theory. From Austin, Texas, the show is produced by Bill Colhane and Jim Ward. Producer and engineer is Rick Jennings. Distribution, research, and production assistance by Lauren Jones and Kevin Henderson. You can find other episodes of The Big Bid Theory on platforms to include iHeart, iTunes, Spreaker, and Google Play.